Hi, this is Dan Cortopassi of TSG Multimedia. Today I'm reviewing N-scale true-scale couplers for microtrains. These couplers are scale or close to scale in size, giving N-scalers an alternative to other types of couplers. True-scale couplers are available in brown or black and in short and long shank versions. They are sold in packs of 2 pairs and in packs of 10 pairs. The MSRP for any of the 2-pair packs is $3.45. The MSRP for any of the 10-pair packs is $15.95. I got several of the 2-pair packs for this review. This is one of the short shank packs in black. Inside the package you'll find parts for 4 coupler boxes, 4 couplers, a sprue with 4 air hoses, and several 0.90 mounting screws. The couplers require assembly. The long shank couplers are the same except for the length of the coupler pieces and boxes. The brown couplers are the same except for the color. The short shank coupler boxes are about the same size as a standard microtrains 1015 coupler box. They are designed to be body mounted. I like to start by cutting the coupler box and lid from the sprue. Just for illustrative purposes, I'm mixing the colors so that things show up better on the video. These couplers don't use any springs, so you don't need to worry about that. The knuckle part of the coupler goes on top of the other half, and the holes need to line up. There are a couple different ways to approach assembly. You can put the 2 halves of the coupler together, then hold them with the holes aligned and slip the whole coupler over the stud in the box. Alternately, you can put the bottom half of the coupler over the stud, followed by the top half. I switch back to all one color, and once the coupler is in the box, the lid just snaps on. There is a small hole on the bottom of the box for the air hose, but I found that it's usually easier to wait till after the coupler is mounted on the car before attaching that part. Microtrains sells a tap and drill set that includes a 0.90 tap, number 62 tap drill, and a number 56 clearance drill if you don't already have those things in your tool collection. You need these things to do the installation. For a typical microtrains car with truck-mounted couplers, I start by removing the trucks. Microtrains sells replacement trucks without couplers, or you can cut the coupler off the existing trucks. I don't like doing that because sometimes the trucks break apart when being cut. I prefer to use replacements and put the original trucks in my spares box. I also prefer to use metal wheels on my cars rather than the plastic microtrains wheels. Most microtrains cars have dimples or holes in the floor. For these couplers, I drill out the hole nearest the car end. I'm using the number 62 drill bit for this. Now I can use the tap to thread the hole. Once the hole is threaded, then the coupler box can be attached. Remember that the hole for the air hose is on the bottom. Now I can attach the air hose. These are long shank couplers, by the way, which are useful for cars like this modern boxcar that have a cushion underframe. For other cars, the short shank couplers work just fine. Now I can attach the replacement trucks. The mounting procedure is the same for other brands of cars, though you may have to figure out where to drill the holes. In cars with a plastic floor like this Atlas car, use care not to over-tighten the screw and strip the threads from the hole. I did that on this car and the coupler box was free to rotate. The coupler parts are made of a slippery plastic that doesn't take glue very well, so I glued a piece of scrap styrene behind the coupler box to prevent it from spinning. Since as yet Microtrains doesn't offer a height gauge for these couplers, I used the regular Microtrains height gauge and tried to match up the coupler center lines. I found that most of the cars end up at this height. Some of the more modern Microtrains boxcars come out too high. The shims that come with the 1015 couplers can be used to lower the coupler boxes by placing the shim between the coupler box and the car floor. The shape of the shim isn't quite the same as the true-scale coupler box, but it works. Given how tiny these couplers are, I think it's especially important to have them all at the same height for reliable operation. I've mounted these couplers on a variety of cars as a test, and also on a Kato SD45. These couplers are not compatible with standard Microtrains couplers. Microtrains offers conversion cars with true-scale couplers on one end only so that you don't have to convert your entire fleet at once. I'm going to do a coupling test now with the locomotive to see how easy it is to connect to a car. Okay, so far it's just pushing it. I'm going to try running the engine a little faster. Okay, well that doesn't seem to be working too well. If I just push them together with my fingers, it couples fine. Okay, that was just a single car. I've coupled 3 other cars behind it, so I have a total of 4 boxcars in a string, and I want to see if that makes any difference. Okay, I got it that time, but I had to hit it pretty hard. Unlike other microtrains couplers, there is no magnetic uncoupling option. Microtrains says you can use a needle or a pin to uncouple the cars. That seems to work. So now we're going to take some of these cars out to a layout and give them a real-world test. We're here at the South Bay Historical Railroad Society running on their N-scale layout. This particular line has a grade of about 2%, and this first train is all cars that are equipped with the new true-scale couplers, as well as the locomotive that's equipped with the true-scale couplers. And we've got about, I don't know, maybe 15 cars on here. Some of mine and some that were borrowed from another club member. And we're just running the train up the hill and seeing how it does. Okay, so we just had an issue, and the locomotive came detached from the train right as it went over this little bridge, so we're backing up to recouple. There is a slight hump in the track here right before the bridge, and I think the combination of the engine and this particular car that we had it hooked to was a problem. And I did have to manually reconnect the cars to the engine, as we've shown earlier. Coupling with just the engine by itself doesn't really work too well. So we're trying it again. And we got the same issue. So we had some issues repeatedly, so what I ended up doing was taking that first car out and coupling the engine to the next car. And after that, it seemed to work better. So it could be that the coupler heights were just not quite matched. Again, there is no official height gauge for this stuff right now. So here's our second test train. This one has 2 locomotives that are equipped with regular microtrains couplers, and then a few cars that are also equipped with regular couplers, a conversion car, and then most of the other train that we had assembled before, and then a few cars on the end after another conversion car that are equipped with standard couplers. This train seemed to work a little better. The Canadian Pacific boxcar in the middle there of the screen is the conversion car. There's no doubt that these couplers look nice. The visual difference in size between these and a normal microtrains coupler is very obvious. They are a little difficult to assemble, though probably no more so than other N-scale microtrains couplers. These couplers are hit and miss with reliability in running trains over a layout. Adjusting the heights to match is important, as the couplers are small to begin with. Unwanted uncoupling in our test train occurred at spots where the track was slightly uneven, causing one car to lift slightly relative to the other. It's nice that these couplers don't suffer from the inchworm effect that regular microtrains couplers have. When I was at the train club, some of the other members said that they'd been using these couplers without problems, so your mileage may vary. Still, I'm going to take a spike for somewhat unreliable operation. The true-scale couplers don't work very well for switching cars. Uncoupling is tricky to do without derailing one car or another. Coupling is almost impossible without manual assistance or without slamming the cars together at unprototypical speeds. I'm going to take a spike for that also. I think these couplers will appeal most to people who want to run trains that don't need much switching. If you're the kind of modeler who cares about scale appearance, these also might be for you. On the other hand, if you like to switch cars, you'll probably find these frustrating. My final verdict is 8 out of 10 spikes.